Hey, Narda, thanks for coming on today and being my bright muse.
Thank you, Suzanne, for the invite. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, so Narda is my kids, well, only one of my kids now, the other one's in middle school, but their Spanish teacher. And she is so much more than a Spanish teacher. She is such a presence in that school and gives so much support to her kids and families. And um, yeah, I've had so much fun getting to know you, and I wish I could get to know you more. We just have to make it happen. But the reason I wanted to interview you today was to talk about your experience. You are from Mexico originally, moved to El Paso when you were 18 for college, and I would love to hear a little bit more about that. And yeah, so we'll just start there. What was that like?
Well, I guess, when you're in high school and that age, it comes to that crossroad of what you want to do with your life. And I could have followed my friend's steps, which was going to the capital of my home state in Sonora and just do my college there. I did know I wanted to pursue a college degree, but it just wasn't giving me the options I wanted. I wanted to try different things. And more importantly, I wanted to know the world. And
Cool.
when you are in Mexico, you can, but it's a lot more challenging, and there's not a lot of diversity with people either. So
Okay.
it's everything is harder. So
Okay.
I had the language. I already spoke English, so I started following my brother's step. He applied to UTEP, which gives us a good it's not a scholarship. They have like a plan for that. International students can pay like in state, and not a lot of colleges do that. So UTEP is pretty amazing in that way. And so we picked up and decided to move to El Paso, and I got my degree in communications.
Perfect.
And that's how we, I lived there for almost 6 years, because then I got my master's degree too in communications.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, met my husband, and life brought us here.
Okay. Did you have any family nearby when you were going to college? I mean, I don't know how close you were.
I did. I had an aunt in Juarez, and she would visit us sometimes. But, after September 11, I was already in El Paso. And I can tell you that was the first big change in what happened to us as international students. Whereas before we could cross the border freely without any problems, after September 11th, the borders closed. And so we couldn't go to Juarez to see my aunt as frequently as we liked. And we couldn't go shopping and doing all that stuff without having to wait like 4 or 6 hours to come back.
Yeah.
So that became a lot more challenging. And it also brought me to the reality of who I was in this country, because when you are living at that age with a student visa, you really don't care. But once September 11th happened, it really dawned on me that I was not like the rest, that I was going to get stopped and asked further questions whenever I wanted to cross the border, and that the wait lines for everything, to apply for a passport, for a visa, for everything, were going to be much longer.
Wow. Did that weigh on your psyche at all? Feeling like you belonged, and all of a sudden feeling like an outsider?
It made me really sad more than anything, because it was like, here I am living life without any problems, and then all of a sudden you're being pointed at and looked at and, challenged constantly as to why are you here? What is your purpose? What is your goal? And was I ever going to be told, no, you can't stay?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So that feeling of not feeling as safe, I guess, starting around that time. So how has it been since that? I mean, tell me about maybe a few key points or key memories or situations from then to now in this process of becoming citizen.
There's just so many little things. I met my husband, and we together decided that we did not want to go to Mexico back, because by that time we had been living in the United States for a really long time. So it meant having to start over, having to familiarize with yourself with the way that things work.
Gotcha.
I never doubted that we would have had a good life, but it wasn't the life that we wanted. So that in mind, we had to apply for jobs that would sponsor our work visas. And you cannot have a work visa for a job that does not need you. For example, a person that is a reporter, there's no need for me to hire somebody from another country because there's enough people here that can do that job.
Okay.
So I couldn't work as what my degree was. So my degree was in communication, and then my minor was in graphic design. There's plenty of communicators and graphic designers that speak English that are American citizens. They need me, right? And my husband was a musician, and it was the same deal. He started working in a high school under a work visa, and by the time that that they give you like a year and you have to renew, they said no, because there's people that can do your job here. We don't need you.
Wow, what a sacrifice y'all had to
like,
make.
Oh yeah. And so we kind of had to sit down and really think like, what is it we want to do and what are our options? And lo and behold, Dallas ISD was looking for bilingual teachers because there's not enough people bilingual in this area. And so that's how we were brought here to DISD.
Okay. And when you were in school and then getting your master's, is this what you imagined using it for?
No.
Okay.
No.
What did you
and my
imagine
grandma
then?
was a teacher, and I always thought that that I just saw the sacrifices, and it's just tough. And I never thought that was what we were gonna go for. But once you start realizing the things that you can do and the potential you have to impact in education, then I wouldn't trade it anymore. You know, but it was hard on me when I was going through the process because I wanted to do something completely different. I wanted to eat the world, you know, I wanted to go do what you're doing. I wanted to interview, I wanted to have a radio show. I wanted to do a bunch of different things. But
by the way, you can do what I'm doing. I'm not being paid a cent. This is a hobby at this point. So you can do it.
I mean, I found ways to do things, you know, I found my love back. And Capella ISD really lets me try out new things, and for that I am incredibly grateful because there's a part of me that thrives with that, you know. So it's not all is lost. But it was really hard. No, I did not ever imagine I was going to be an educator.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
Well, and I hope that you continue to be able to push through ceilings. I can't even imagine. I've never been in that predicament where I've had, you know, someone tell me, you can't do this, or, you know.
You're a little bit frozen.
Oh, no. How about that?
Just a little.
Yeah. Anyway, I've never had. Last phrase, what you said. I've never had those limitations put on me because of the privilege. And gosh, I can't even imagine, but you show so much strength and gold. And I hope that you're able to continue to pursue those other outlets and creative outlets too, to continue your impact here and beyond. But yeah, your impact is huge, I know, with the school. And I don't even know what to say other than I appreciate, I think I can appreciate the sacrifice you've made, and being able to find the good, even though that wasn't really your original intent. Here's a tough question. Do you feel like it's been worth it to make that sacrifice?
Yeah.
Good.
100%. Good over and over again. And my kids are getting what I didn't have, which is more options in the world. And ultimately that was our biggest motive, is like, if we decide to have kids, we don't want them to struggle the same way we're struggling. They can have their own struggles. By all means, please have struggles in life, because that's life, right? But not the same way. Right. So if they want to go around and travel the world, do it. Like, you have an option. They both will hold dual citizenship as well. And so that is, for us, major. Like, that makes it all worth it, really.
Yeah. Wow. Such sacrifice. Well, if there was anything that I
do love education now, being where I am, because it is, I have a little phrase on my computer that says creativity is intelligence having fun. And I have a lot of fun with the kids. I have a lot of, and they are my creative outlet too. And when I see, like, I'll give them just enough and then let them explore. And when I see what comes back, it's really gratifying. I don't think you would have the same feeling in the corporate world, not the same way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, if I could change the way that everything is looked at in the States, and what jobs are considered, higher pay and what aren't, I would completely flip this whole thing, and teachers would be at the highest pay and corporate would be everybody else. What you do is really huge, and especially this year. And I wish your status and what you get paid could reflect that, of how high in esteem that I honor you, and it's so many of us honor our teachers.
Yeah, and that's that feeling I was telling you about with my grandmother and her not getting recognized up until the time that she was about to retire. Did she start getting all the accolades that she deserved? And I just thought that was so unfair, because she retired and a year and a half later she died.
Oh.
And it was like, you didn't even get to enjoy all the things that you worked so hard for. So it's tough. And I don't know, it's just, it's not unique to the United States. That part isn't.
Yeah.
But yeah. So ever since we came here, we could work as teachers because that's the need. That's how we were hired as. But we could not apply for another position even within the district. So I could not be a reading coach. I could not be a math coach. I could not be an AP, because the original need is for you to be a teacher. So under that, it's called an H-1B visa, and it's a work visa. You can only work as that. And then after a certain amount of years, you can apply for a green card, and that gives you freedom to work wherever you want.
Okay.
That's when you become a permanent resident. Like, I live here, I can work here. Oh, and I keep telling people I pay taxes.
Yeah.
I always pay taxes. Even as a college student, wow. I pay taxes. So that part, it just like kind of burns when people start saying like, but they have to pay. No, we do pay. We do pay.
And this is why I like to interview, because you get to say what I want to say, but mine's only, a rant. Yours is actual personal experiences. That is why
I lived it.
I interview.
Yes. So college has, at UTEP lets you work in the university. That's another great thing UTEP has. Even as a international student, you can work in the campus. But you have taxes taken away, and then at the end of the year you have to pay what is fair, or sometimes you get paid back, which is also fair. But that time as a student does not count. It's like you've never been here. That doesn't count to your ability to apply for a green card. It's like you were never here, even if you paid. Then when you finally do get a work visa, then the time does start counting. And so, but that's when you enter like this long list, a backlog of countries of people requesting green cards. And obviously Mexico is one of the countries that requests more visas. So it takes a long time for it to catch up. Okay. It's not anybody's fault. It is the system, because it is so slow. And year after year, while you're waiting for that, you still have to be applying for the work visa over and over.
Wow, so exhausting.
Yes, and then after that, they tell you, okay, you get your green card, you can work. And so I left Dallas ISD as soon as I got my green card, because by then it had been 8 years working in Dallas as a teacher, and I knew there were better paid districts. I think that the impact we had with our community kind of reaches we were already there. We needed a change, and so we went to Irving ISD, and that's when we were kind of free-ish. You cannot vote with a green card, so we were like still kind of but we live here, and we pay taxes, so why can't we vote?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to stay with a green card for 5 years. For 5 years.
Wow.
And so that's why all of this citizenship stuff happened now, because it has been 5 years since I had my green card, and we applied, and then all of a sudden, boom, we were citizens. It moved faster than anything else that we had applied for.
Yes. And this is fairly recent, right?
Yes, we became citizens last month.
Last month?
Mm-hmm.
That was even more, wow, even
Yeah.
more recent than I thought.
Yes.
What was that day like? I mean, was it such a buildup that it was
exciting.
like, okay.
Well, what was like that was the interview, because they do interview you, and it's like, well, you get hyped up and really nervous, and you start doubting what you don't know. Is it going to be the time that I will be told no? And then what do I do? All those things play in your head. And my husband and I are applying for the same thing, not together, because he wasn't a citizen, and neither was I. So each of us have their own processes. So we didn't go into the interview together.
Yeah.
And then it lasted, I kid you, it lasted 20 minutes. That's it. 20 minutes. I think it was less than that. I think it was more because I started joking around with the guy than the actual interview.
Good for you. Diffuse the tension with humor.
Mad. It was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Wow. I guarantee you that you know more about this country than I do.
Well, only because I had to study.
Right.
Questions.
I have major test anxiety anyway. And to have that kind of pressure, I can't even.
Well, the good thing is that it is those 100 questions that they ask you. Like there's no question about like, and what was the name of the bus driver kind of thing. Like it's those questions. It's those questions.
Wow.
Actually, my mom had her interview the day before yesterday.
Really?
And so if you want to speak to somebody else that's a major immigrant, she moved 6 years ago here from Mexico, did not even do college here. She doesn't have the same assimilation process that I have. She just came from one country to this, never have work here. And her English is fairly good, but it was enough to make her really conscious and nervous about is she going to do it right? Well, she was in there less than I was, And she's like, it's like she hadn't been sleeping well. She hadn't been eating well. She was so nervous, because she didn't know. Yeah. So that was very like, meh, and it's done. Like I could have done this 6 years ago. I could have the same way, same person, not a criminal,
Right. Wow.
Yep.
You're so strong.
You don't know how strong you are until you have to be. So
I bet. Yeah. Last question.
I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a strong person. It's just life throws stuff at me, and you've had to be. So therefore you are.
Yeah. My last question, I could ask you like 80 more, but for the sake of time, if you could have people understand something about immigration and what it's like for people living here and waiting for their citizenship, and if you could help people understand a little bit more about that process, for people like me who are, born and raised here, what would that be? What would you like for us to understand more than we do right now?
I guess that freedom is not free. Yeah. And that many of us want to pursue freedom in the access we have to education and better medical, and that every single process we go through is very expensive. I keep talking about taxes, but that was just something we did every year. But each of the visas has a cost. Each of the green card has a cost. Citizenship has a cost. And the fear of not being able to pay for that because you can't work those jobs that generate that money limits you a lot. And so the freedom I have now did not come for free. And I wish people would understand that you did make, within this whole process, I did let a lot of myself go, a lot of who I wanted to be. And it's just not as easy as saying I want it and here it is.
Yeah. So a lot of sacrifice. I feel like that's the theme. Just a
Yes.
lot of sacrifice that I want to understand better. And I hope that others can understand better just by listening to this. Mad respect for you. Mad respect.
Same to you. You reach
Thanks.
out. Hey, that's the thing, ask those questions because they need to be asked.
Yeah, I just want to learn.
And a lot of
And
people will push back and say that it was my choice. And yes, it was my choice. But why did it have to be this hard?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh. Well, thank you. Like I said, I could talk to you for at least 3 more hours, but but thank you so
Well,
much.
I do. You're welcome. Thank you.